Welcome. If any of you would like to speak to any item that is on or not on the agenda, well, on the agenda actually, if you could fill out one of these yellow cards, they're in the corner, that would be really helpful. And what we're going to do is we'll take public comment, and that's for items that are not on the agenda. And then everything else we're going to take as item 3. Great, thank you. You'll be the first to speak. Thanks. So good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to start by asking the dais to introduce themselves, and I'm going to begin to my right.
Steve Mitra, Assistant County Counsel.
Good afternoon. Rob Coelho from County Counsel's Office.
John Mills from the County Executive's Office.
Cindy Chavez from the Board of Supervisors.
Bob Minicucci, Social Services Agency.
Regina Martin, Department of Child Support Services.
So let me just, for those of you who haven't been to one of these meetings, you're at the Children's Seniors Families Committee meeting, and then we're going to turn into the Finance and Government Operations Committee. And the purpose of today is all budget items. So what we're going to do is we're going to take we have one person speaking on public comment, and then we're going to go through and have everybody who's here to speak on an item. I'm just going to call you up in the order that your cards came in. Just a little bit of a process issue. When you come forward, the microphone is built in. I'm going to have, since Scott is going to be our public comment, Scott, I'm going to just have you point that out when you come up. And then, and the second thing I wanted to tell you is that I'm pretty strict about time just because I want to be fair to everyone. And also, I just want to encourage people not to clap or boo or hiss because we want everybody to feel comfortable as they come forward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call you in groups of 10 and ask you to come toward the mic and then to speak. And then what we're going to do is Supervisor Cortese and I will consider all of the budget items after we've heard from all of the speakers, just so you don't have to wait till one particular one comes up. The other thing is, it is A-okay if children are loud or laughing or crying. That is not a problem. Just because it should be everybody's home, even if you're teething, okay? So, especially if you're teething, exactly. That's what Dave just says. So, does everybody understand the rules? Okay, and if you have any questions, Scott will demonstrate that for you right now. Scott is here under public comment, and he's going to get 3 minutes to speak. Everybody else will get 2 minutes to speak because that's the way we do that for, yeah, there you go, our spokesmodel. And that's the way we do our meetings. But like I said, I'm going to be very disciplined about that just because I want to make sure I'm fair. Is that everybody understands that? I'm putting on my teacher hat. So welcome, Scott.
Okay, great. Thank you, Cindy. So everybody knows this is the microphone that's kind of built in. Eventually, we're going to put a sticker up here. And let
I know, right? That's actually a good idea.
We're working on that. Sometimes government moves slow, so it might be in another year, but we're going to get it done.
Okay, negative. Go ahead.
Okay, don't go there, Scott. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Scott Largent. I was on the phone earlier this morning with a grant-funded Choices for Children program that we have at our courts. Now, this program was provided through Catholic Charity Services, and it was defunded by our county. I think it was a necessary thing to have, and many of you know I went through a waiting process for almost 9 months before it was defunded, and it basically crashed and burned. This one right now, through grant funding, through, I believe, First Five California, only provides a $100,000 grant. At the moment right now, we have a waiting list of 37 people that have been waiting to see their children. So I think that's a problem here in our county. I would love to see something like that on the agenda. You know, we can maybe bury that one in the consent calendar and take care of paying for the visits for these families. Their mothers, their fathers, they've gone that distance to want to be in their children's lives. They can't afford it right now. And it seems like such a small number. You know, at $50 to $100 an hour, they staff the thing and bring in more people. I think we could really fix this right now. The county at the moment right now is trying to get something else going through Catholic Charity Services, and it seems like we're recreating the wheel. You know, we've got Tony Tolis involved. We've got Laura Garnett from Probation and Parole. We have several of you supervisors. It's like all these calls, all these emails, trying to figure out, can we do this? Do we have to do this way? We can't do it based upon the contract. You know, it's a lot of governmental, I don't want to use that bad word here, but you know where I'm getting at. And how do we fix that right now? And I really do think that these families should not have to wait anymore. I ran an electronics business for about 20 years, and I understood what damage control was. And when we have problems like this, we need to fix what's happened to the people that got stuck in the system, the people that didn't get the visitation, and the people that got stuck in those voicemails. Because their significant other, their family members, the judge, they need to understand where they were at, that they were fighting, that they did not give up. And what I'm kind of sad about is that Catholic Charity Services never returned these phone calls. And I've started to pull more of these people in, and some of it's really sad. Some of these people got back on drugs. Some of these people gave up on their children. It's just really sad. They fought, and they did what I did. And I don't want to see that happen. I want people to be reunited with their children. My daughter turned 4 yesterday. And I'm very proud that my daughter's 4 years old. I missed out yesterday. I had to sing happy birthday to a GoPro. But later in life, she's going to know that her daddy never stopped fighting for her. So thank you. And I absolutely love having the children here today. It's a
Thank
great
you for
jungle
being with
gym
us.
right here. Thank you.
So we're going to move on then to item 3, and this is to consider inventory items. And I'm going to call you up in the order that I received your cards, and I am going to ask folks to line up if you're able after I call your name. And again, I'm going to remind you that you have 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes to speak. So we're going to invite up Matt Cohen, Joan Meebach, Tony Voltgabi, and I apologize, you can tell me the right way to say her name, Caesar Ching, to be followed by Susanna and Caesar Ching. I'm not sure if, yeah. And then Kathy Damoski, and Cameron Bradford, and David Goevan. Welcome, and please just come forward, and you can come individually or as a group if any. So as I called you, and just if you can come in the order that we called you as best you can. Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome. Good morning, or good afternoon, sorry. My name is Matt Cohen, Senior Vice President of Special Olympics in Northern California. I'm here with our athletes, and I would like them to tell their story on the impact that Special Olympics has on their lives.
My name is Stephanie Chang. I live in Cupertino, California. I involved with Special Olympics for 28 years. I am a global messenger, health messenger, and board of directors.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Meebach. I live in my own apartment in Centerville, California with my partner. I've been an athlete for 28 years. Special Olympics more than sports for me. It's about training for life. I work for the city of Santa Clara for 16 years. The skills I've earned as an athlete makes me a great employee. Most of my friends are Special Olympics athletes too. Thank you. We hope you continue to support Special Olympics County. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Justin Voltaggio. I've been living in San Jose. I've been a Special Olympics athlete for 16 years now. I'm also a registered speaker for Special Olympics. Thank you.
My name is Ryan Epitanio, and I live in Sunnyvale, California, and I did Special Olympics for 35 years.
Hi, my name is
Stop
Joan
for one moment. I'm going to just let the time, if you could just start her time over. I think everybody kind of got on one card. I am just going to ask if you're here that if you could do a card for everyone. It just makes it easier for me to track who's here.
Right.
Welcome.
Joan Meebach. I live in Los Altos, and I'm the proud parent of Lindsay, Special Olympics athlete. When we signed her up for Special Olympics, we thought, oh, finally, a sports team that'll take her. What we didn't realize was the motto, training for life through sports. After her years as an athlete, she learned how to be a good sportsman, how to be able to stand up and be proud of her accomplishments, how to support her teammates, how to be on time, how to learn the rules and follow them. And all of those skills made her successful on the field and off the field. She's now employed, has been for 16 years, has her own apartment, holds down the job. And that motto of training for life through sports is true for all athletes that participate in our community sports program year over year. So thank you for the funding that you've provided in the past, and we'll look forward to your funding in the future because you are investing in making independent lives. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
My name is Tony Voltaggio, and I live in San Jose, and I am a coach for Special Olympics.
Welcome.
My name is Susanna Cheng. I'm the mother of Stephanie Cheng, who's been a Special Olympics athlete for 28 years. Thank you.
I am Caesar Cheng. My daughter is Stephanie Cheng. I think Special Olympics is a great organization. I think our county needs a lot more support for that. It's really helping out. And I think as a Silicon Valley area, this is something that we should promote more with unified sports and different things that can help everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. I think we missed a card somewhere. Hopefully it's there. No?
No, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, honorable board members. My name is Dalia Rodriguez. I'm a captain with Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office, and I'm here to show my support for Special Olympics Northern California. The Law Enforcement Torch Run is the largest grassroots fundraiser for Special Olympics worldwide. Each year, thousands of law enforcement officers throughout Northern California fundraise year-round for Special Olympics. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, we had a Tip-A-Cop event over at the Chili's on Coleman when we had deputies volunteer their time. They wear their uniforms and they serve all the customers at Chili's so they can earn tips, and all that money is then given for fundraising for Special Olympics. In fact, in 2 weeks, we also have the law enforcement personnel from Santa Clara County will be escorting and running with Special Olympic Torch runners. We'll be doing the Flame of Hope as it heads through Santa Clara County for the Summer Games at UC Davis. We, the Sheriff's Office, is actually sending our entire SWAT team to run with the special athletes, and we will be running from Gilroy to Morgan Hill, and then again Cupertino to Los Gatos, and then from downtown San Jose over to the Sheriff's Office and continuing to Elmwood to give the torch to our Milpitas counterparts. We are very dedicated to this particular event because it's a great cause, number one, and we've always been longtime supporters of it. So both days will be running. Special Olympics is a charity of choice of the California Police Chiefs Association, the Cal State Sheriff's Association, the California Highway Patrol, and the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I hope I have more time. Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools has both students with and without intellectual disabilities working together to achieve a common goal.
Thank you. Your time's everybody. No, I'm sorry. I'm just going to be really. And I did find you, but I hadn't called you yet. So go ahead.
Well, that means I got 2 more minutes, right?
Yeah, nice try. Welcome.
Hello, my name is David Gubin. I'm a teacher with the Eastside Union High School District Adult Transition Program. We serve adult students ages 18 to 22 with moderate to severe disabilities. Our program has been participating with the Special Olympics Schools Partnership Program for about 4 years, and I am the school liaison. The impact that this program has had for our students is phenomenal. We talk a lot about inclusion, including those that have been marginalized from society, and this is really kind of feet on the ground, watching it happen in action. It's truly amazing. If you've never had a chance to witness a unified sports program, it takes individuals with and without disabilities and puts them on a unified team together. So the impact really is twofold. It teaches our students that they are valued, they are members of a society where they can feel included, but also the impact that I've witnessed with seeing the unified partners, the volunteers, which because we work with 18 to 22-year-old students, we're going out recruiting college athletes. And the impact really is twofold because I get to see the impact that it has on the partner, the paradigm shift in their mind where they once maybe had never had an experience working with people with disabilities. It really opens their eyes to see the capabilities. And they can go on to become managers, maybe even CEOs, own their own companies. So having this opportunity to impact their lives as well as our students has been really powerful to witness. So if you've never had a chance to come out and watch one of these tournaments, you're all invited to come out to our next tournament, which will be in the fall. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Pretty good. All right, well, that was pretty good. I don't know how I'm going to beat that. But my name is Cameron Bradford. I am an area manager with the Special Olympics. I'm in charge of helping provide direct service to different schools and school districts throughout the county. Right now, we're currently over 48 schools, servicing over 16,000 students. And is working with teachers like David to help to bring our message of inclusion to the county. And our goal is just to have every campus to have that culture of inclusion and that everybody is equal and everybody can do the same thing. With that being said, I just want to say thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your funding in the past. And we hope to work together in the future to bring more activities and opportunities for all populations. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kathy Demansky, and I'm in charge of the School Partnership Program for Special Olympics Northern California. We've been focused in Santa Clara County for 2 to 3 years, largely because of the funding that we've received in the past. So our strategy as we go forward includes not only expansion to new schools and new school districts, but we're also trying to deepen that engagement with those existing schools that we've been working with, like David's area. It does take a few years for schools to kind of go all in on the program, so it's important for us to stay active in working with those currently included schools. Our community-based organizations like ours are pretty low to the ground, and so our dollars are very efficient, and we look forward to your support as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. You did great with your testifying. I'm going to invite up now Leticia Fernandez, Gabe Perez, Amy Feldman, Almaz Nagash, Sabrina Martinez, Frederick Ferrer, I think that was Fred Ferrer, Steve Holmes, and Mary Kay Going. And just, if you could come up, if you would wait till I call your name, but then you can come up in any order. I just need to be able to find you to make sure I cover everybody. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Leticia Fernandez with the First 5 Family Resource Centers and Catholic Charities over in the San Miguel Family Resource Center in Sunnyvale. And this is Ms. Rock.
Hi, my name is Ms. Rock. I'm the program supervisor at the Family Resource Center.
And we're here to talk about the supplybank.org diaper distribution that we have at our Family Resource Center. And really thank you, Cindy Chavez, for bringing that valuable resource to the Family Resource Center. Currently, we are serving 75 children at the Family Resource Center. And the diaper distribution is once a month, and we do have families that are high need and also that are on waiting lists. So this is a valuable resource for the families. We do have families that have 2 children, 3 children that are coming in, and just bringing this to them is helping them on a monthly basis. I also have a couple of testimonials from families, and I think Ms. Stack could talk a little bit about the valuable resource this is.
So we outreach to families at a shelter, low-income families around the neighborhood, and the families have been able to use the service very well. And the other thing that we attach was the service is the Ages and Stages questionnaire, which assesses the children's developmental stage, and we have been able to help those kids who have delays. We also encourage them to take parenting workshops, children classes. So it's been a great service, and we attached it to many other things that they can benefit from.
So it's not just diapers. They come in and they receive a whole array of services. So really thank you, Ms. Chavez, for providing that to the Family Resource Centers.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Welcome.
Afternoon. My name is Gabe Perez.
I'm in the local South Valley Memorial District. I want to thank you for consideration for restoring our building down there. It's been almost 70 years since that building has been restored or anything done to it. Been working on it, been cooking down there in it, and we want to thank the consideration for restoring some of that building for us. Right now, we've raised $40,000 for a $250,000 unit that we got to replace down there. So is there any questions you want to ask right now? Because veterans are pretty well forgotten. The only time we were noticed is Veterans Day, Memorial Day. Other times, we're not noticed. And our building down there is getting more notification now. We're doing more weddings, more birthday parties, and what have you down there. So the more renovation we do down there, the better it'll be for the building. So I'm on the board of directors. I'm vice president, was president for a while there. Now I'm vice president. But we do need that building redone. It's been since 1951 since nothing's been done to it. So I've been doing the maintenance on it, renovating it best I could, best I can, with friends and myself, doing what we can do. So this donation would be highly considered and real thankful. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Almaz Nagash. I'm with the African Diaspora Network. I just want to say thank you, Supervisor Cortese, Supervisor Chavez, and all of you for the opportunity to put the African Diaspora Network for the first time on the county budget. We started 8 years ago with the idea, how do you bring Africans and Friends of Africa together? For those of you who might not be familiar, actually the African diaspora, I'm talking about the contemporary diaspora, those of us who came in the last 50, 60 years for educational, political, and other reasons to the United States. We contribute about $55 billion in economic value. In Silicon Valley, we are about, in California, we're about 200,000. It could be more, but according to the Policy Institute. In Silicon Valley alone, many of the diasporans come from many different parts of the world, but mostly from Ethiopia, Eritrea, my home country, Nigeria, Sudan, Kenya, Liberia, in that order. What we have done in the last 8 years under the African Diaspora Network is really capture the imagination of how diverse communities can work together. And I'm very delighted that Supervisor Cortese has been a part of it since its inception, but specifically since 2016, when we start to bring about 250 people from around the world to Silicon Valley every year under the auspicious and understanding of how can you create an entrepreneurial ecosystem for the diaspora here. We're a continent that's growing with 54 countries. It's a very big continent, but we do believe Silicon Valley has a role to play in Africa, and we find this would be a fantastic opportunity for us to sustain and develop the programs that we've developed, specifically the mentoring program, because the diaspora is highly educated, and we want to be able to contribute to our community. And the best way we see that doing is by having an intentional mentoring program. So I thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Amy Feldman, and I am the Program Director for Silicon Valley for the All Good Work Foundation. And our program currently is supporting 18 nonprofits in the Silicon Valley area, including the African Diaspora Network, ADN. So it's my pleasure to speak here today in support of ADN, its extraordinary Executive Director, Almaz Nagash, and their team. ADN is a nonprofit organization that's committed to bringing Africans and Friends of Africa together to address complex problems such as poverty in our local community, as well as their communities of origin. They also achieve their impact and measure their success by the number of individuals, entrepreneurs, and social entrepreneurs they engage, train, and mentor. Over the past 4 years, ADN has engaged 1,000 diverse communities of Africans and Friends of Africa, entrepreneurs, investors, educators in the area to make a difference in Silicon Valley as well as their home countries. And the All Good Work Foundation applauds the work of ADN and is honored to support it here in Silicon Valley, and we thank you for your time and consideration to the Board of Supervisors. We're very excited to be a part of the community and to support ADN. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Chike Nwofia. My card is actually a little bit later, but I thought to speak to the African Diaspora Network issue so that we can all be together. I'm here really to talk to you about not so much giving you statistics, but to talk about the importance of this organization called the African Diaspora Network. Africa is a continent of about 1 billion people, and with 54 countries in it. But for those of us that are immigrants in this community, oftentimes when you arrive to the shores of this place, either to work or to go to school, or for whatever reason, maybe issues of displacement back home, you need a way to connect. You need a way to feel welcome. And that is the point I want to make about this incredible organization called the African Diaspora Network. Because for you to thrive in any foreign country, the first instance of familiarity to home gives you a sense of comfort, a sense of peace, a sense of safety, especially in today's world where there is a lot of animosity against immigrants. The African Diaspora Network has become that connector, has become that place where wherever you're coming from, you get a phone number, you get an email, you plug in, and then you begin to thrive. I've been here for 30-something years, and I wish there was African Diaspora Network when I first came to go to school. But thank God for people like Almaz and all the people, Friends of Africa, that are supporting this incredible movement. And now you join those. And so we're here to say thank you, and I hope that you can continue this support, not just as a one-off, but to get it going because it is so sorely needed. Silicon Valley is a very diverse place, and African Diaspora Network adds to that incredible mosaic by enriching this community. Thank you.
Welcome. Come forward. That sounded joyful. All right, welcome.
Hi, Sabrina Martier.
Thank you.
So thank you all for this opportunity. I'm a specialist and a CASA at Child Advocate Silicon Valley. As specialists, we help build programs to provide resources for CASAs and their youth to ensure that the youth are on parity with youth outside of the dependency system. We supervise about 600 CASAs and serve about 900 children each year. My personal specialty areas include teenagers and non-minor dependents. I support CASAs with their transition-age youth and help them complete high school or their GEDs, and also help them prepare just for their futures. This year, along with DFCS, Pivotal, and the Bill Wilson Center, Child Advocates is partnering with Levi Stadium to celebrate our graduating youth. And as a CASA, I have had the opportunity to mentor a teenager this year, and despite some personal setbacks that she's had, I'm happy and honored that I'll be able to watch her graduate next Thursday from high school, and I believe she'll be the first in her family to graduate here in the States. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Fred Ferrer, CEO of the Child Advocates of Silicon Valley. I want to thank you for the consideration of this inventory item. As I come to take on this position and lead this incredible organization working with CASAs or Court Appointed Special Advocates, I've come to understand some of the challenges within the foster care system. And so as I looked within our own agency at the services that we're providing, I've come to understand that while there are 1,500 children in the dependency system within Santa Clara County, we're only serving about 900 of them. And so then when I look at who are those children in that gap, then I see the really most hard to serve, the most vulnerable kids in our community. So not that they wouldn't just be vulnerable because they're in the dependency court system, but they're even within the dependency court system, they're kids with special needs. They're babies, they're kids with, have gang-affiliated families, or they're placed out of county. And so those are the kids that actually need a CASA the most, and yet at most times will have the least opportunity to be able to do that. So to bring us to scale, this inventory item, leveraged along with other public dollars, will really help us to be able to not only serve more kids and serve more kids that need our services, but I believe to also then take a fresh look at what are the impacts that our services can provide. Not only working within the system, but also working directly within our own programs of how do we impact kids and make their lives different, even though through no fault of their own, they come into this system. So I appreciate this opportunity, and as I continue to learn, more about the system, we're going to continue to pledge to work most directly for these most vulnerable children. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mary Kay Going. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you on behalf of the Moreland Woods Project. I am the superintendent of Moreland School District. Rarely in my career have I seen the outpouring of community capacity expressed so far for this project with the strong dedication and can-do attitude to make a dream come true. When Westgate Church in West San Jose joined forces with our school district and the school community, local business leaders and hardworking dedicated volunteers were able to achieve a number of components for our outdoor classroom space. The design and project management was donated by Stephanie DeRenal, the architect. The concrete work donated by Westgate Church member Dave Strauss. The refurbishment of the trails, the pond area restoration were all provided by the generosity, volunteerism, and funds from our local community. We come to you today to urge you to support the completion of this project with your generous one-time contribution. Plans are in place to create a financially sustainable program utilizing funds raised through the use of this facility to maintain the grounds. This is a win-win proposal. Completing this project will create an outdoor learning environment at Easterbrook Discovery School that will ultimately benefit students across our district and possibly other schools in other districts in our area. Today's child spends very limited time in safe outdoor exploration and discovery. These are vital components of how children develop, learn, and grow. And I will also point to the fact that in our proposal, we talk about West San Jose as having very few open space park areas for our children. So another point to consider. We have distributed some pictures of what has already been completed and a map of what is yet to be completed. Stephanie and the architect and Sherry are here to answer questions. It is our goal to make this learning environment a model for how we can increase outdoor learning opportunities for students, and the county's contribution towards the school will make it possible. Thank you.
Steve, as you come forward, and also Supervisor Cortese, I pulled anybody who came in whatever order, even if they were for the CFCS, the FGOC. Okay.
Just defer to your chair. We were pleased that it was an opportunity to move all inventory items to a date that CSFC had already set. So
great, perfect.
I'm happy having you chair. Thank you.
Thanks. And so, Steve, if you would just wait one moment, I'm going to invite up Dana Diaz, Nancy Garcia, Rosa Estrada, Nayeli Ceja Arguellano, Scott Largent. I think Scott, if you would just, I don't know if he's still here. Let me pull him out for a sec. Benito Delgado Olson, Alma Rodriguez. Steve, thank you for letting me interrupt you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm Steve Holmes, the Executive Director with South Bay Clean Creeks Coalition. Our mission started 6 years ago when we stepped out on the bike trail along Los Gatos Creek and tried to mechanize a voluntary effort to start cleaning up our watersheds. That's led to over 200 cleanups, and we've removed 280 tons of trash from our local waterways. It started on Los Gatos Creek, but because of the groundswell, we now are on Los Gatos Creek, the Guadalupe watershed, as well as Coyote Creek. And I'd like to thank the county for consideration of the funding that will help support our work. The most recent effort we had was a couple weeks ago. They had the National Rivers Cleanup Day. We had 6 events running, had 225 people out, and cleared 5.5 tons of trash. The dire state that we find our waterways in, we have sort of stepped in that gap and tried to provide services so that we can start recovering these waterways. I don't know if you're familiar with the fact that we have Chinook salmon that are coming up our waterways, and the significance of that being that this is the furthest point south on the North American continent where you have a viable run of salmon that return to the waterways each year. So we're trying to get to a sustainable level with these fish. Beyond that, we have several grants that are twilighting with the Water District. So the timing for this funding will keep us, flush with funding to support our staff. And, I guess the long-term goal, what are we looking to do? If you look at Los Angeles, they have a group called Friends of LA River. when they call a cleanup, they'll have 5,000 people show up for a cleanup. That's where we would like to eventually reach as far as a goal. In our most recent cleanups, I think the highest we've reached is 500, but you know, that's where we're headed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee members. I'm Keith with First Five. I just wanted to speak on item number
Kate, hold on 1
3G.
second. I don't think I have you yet. Did I call you already?
Speaking of supplybank.org, the inventory item.
No, but I'm just looking for your card. Did you fill one out already?
Yeah, it should be in there.
Okay, so what I want to ask is folks to come up as I call you, and the only reason for that is I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out, and that I'm treating people fairly, and I am, all right, go ahead.
So thank you, and I apologize.
No problem.
But I wanted to, first of all, thank you for your consideration of this inventory item. I think it's very important that we are supporting our families in highest risk and in most vulnerable circumstances. And many of our FRCs are in communities where we do address a lot of those concerns. And this project with supplybank.org has really supported our FRCs in engaging with that population and ensuring that they have the basic needs to be able to determine their lifelong outcomes for their children, many of the children you see here today. And the other part is that, you know, when we first launched this program, we thought that, yeah, we're reducing and addressing the financial burdens of the high cost of living here. But in addition to that, what we're doing now and what we're learning and what we intended to was also use this as a way to bridge families to critical family strengthening services within the family resource centers and other supports that could help stabilize the family and keep them in place in their communities so that they can thrive in school and in life. And what you'll hear behind me as I get going here is a lot of that testimony about what that's meant for families and their communities, as well as what it meant for their children and their families. So with that, I'll turn it over to them, and I apologize for...
No problem. I just wanted to be fair with everyone. Thank you. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Nayeli Sejanguiano, Curriculum Coordinator for the Adelante Family Resource Center at Rebecca Children's Services. Thank you, Supervisor Chavez, for the support in this item. So we're in Gilroy, so we're like the stepchild of the county, way over there in our island by ourselves. So we work with a lot of low socioeconomic status families, very low income, single parents, relative caregivers, so aunts, a lot of grandparents who are taking care of their children, and this is out of the system, so it's on their own accord. And the economic impact that having the diaper program has on them is very significant. They are able now to focus on other things. So in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we need to have all our basic needs met. Having diapers I believe is one of those. So if they have diapers that they can take care of for a month, they're able to then focus on all the other issues and services that the family requires. For example, mental health, that they are able to create long-lasting and positive relationships with their children. So it also helps in the prevention of abuse for children and neglect. So having the diaper program really has not just an economic impact on our families, but it also helps them with their social emotional needs afterwards. Once that is met, they're able to take care of their children, they're able to thrive, they're able to be productive members of our society. So I encourage you to continue the support for this program and an expansion of it, because we have a lot of need, not just in South County, but also up here in San Jose, Santa Clara, and the rest of the surrounding areas. So thank you very much for your time today.
May I apologize? Could you tell me your name again?
Nayeli Ceja. Nayeli Sejanguiano.
Oh, N-A-Y-E-L. Oh, good. I see that's such a beautiful name, and I apologize. I said it so poorly I couldn't find it. Thank you.
Thanks
for joining us. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Dania Diaz. I'm also a community worker at Rebecca Children's Services at Adelante Family Resource Center, and we're here to thank Supervisor Chavez for her leadership in addressing the diaper need. As Nayeli was mentioning, we do serve a lot of low-income families, and this program has helped us outreach a lot of new families and helped current families we already had. The diapers are the tip of the iceberg for all the services that they're getting. So some of the families are coming in for diapers, but then it is an opportunity for us to offer everything else that we have to offer. And so as Nayeli was mentioning, yes, they do come for the diapers, but they start getting other services, so it helps them in their lives. So we want to thank you for that. We are currently serving around 70 families, so I'm assuming around 100 children. Some of the families have 2 to 3 children. Foster families are also benefiting from it, so that's a big help for them as well. Our wait list is a little bit longer than the families we are serving, but we are currently working on getting more families into the program because it is a big need that they have going on. So that is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Nayeli. I think there's 2 Nayelis here, but maybe we have got confused. So sorry. Well, I'm Nayeli Sedano. I'm the Family Resource Center Coordinator for Somos Mayfair. And I just wanted to speak on behalf of the Baby Hygiene Program. Like many of my peers have mentioned, this program brings an opportunity to draw more families into a family resource centers and let them and connect them with other resources and services that we provide. One of the biggest things that we have is that many of our families that participate in the Baby Hygiene Program also have access to literacy programs, and they have a wide variety of options where they can spend time with their kids and their families. Another thing that I wanted to say is that I see that there is a high need for this service. I get calls from hospitals, clinics, and other agencies in the area that are asking like how they can connect their families to us. I also have opened a space for some families with 4Cs, the child care services, to share some of our resources with their families, as they also have families with that are low income and that have kids with special needs, and they also have a need. So it's been hard to turn away a few families who are homeless or who don't make enough and are worried to secure diapers on a monthly basis for their family. So I do see that there is a high need. I currently have 2 groups. I have an AM group and then a PM group. And it's been a wonderful addition to have this resource in our area and in the Mayfair neighborhood. So thank you very much, and we just want to encourage that this program continue, not just in the FRCs, but in other places that see that there is a need for this resource. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Rosalia Estrada. I'm part of the Frankie McKinley Children's Initiative, and I'm lucky to be the Family Resource Center Supervisor at the EduCare Center. And as my colleagues mentioned before, I'm here to thank you, especially you, Supervisor Chavez, for bringing these amazing programs and for being a spokesperson for these programs. It is very useful for my community. I work at the Santee community, and on behalf of those families, currently we're serving 100 families that are receiving this program, the diaper program, and we have 40 families on our waiting list. But I'm here to thank you for this amazing program. It is very useful for them. On their own words, been hearing that they're using the money that normally they will be using for diapers to buy food or uniforms for their other kids that they have in their household. So thank you for having this program, and I'm here to also advocate, if possible, to expand this program, because as I mentioned before, we have 40 families currently in the waiting list, and we could have many, many more, just that some of them get discouraged to be in the waiting list because they know that it's going to be very difficult to participate in the program, but we try to allocate them in different centers. So again, thank you so much on behalf of my community, and keep the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Nancy Garcia, and I'm here with as a what's it called, testimony about the diapers. It has been very helpful for my family and I, since my husband is the only one that's working, and I guess for Hispanic community, it's very helpful for us to have a diaper, especially have her on diapers, so it was very helpful during that time because we had difficult times. So I really want to thank you all for the support, and I hope it keeps helping other people like they have helped us. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Benito, if I could ask you to hold on for one moment.
Yep.
I called Scott Largent, but I think, Scott, you wanted to speak under public comment for the next meeting. I don't know if he's still here. No? Okay, so if I could invite forward Ahmed Rodriguez, Reynaldo, Diana Gomez, Laura Maldonado, and Mark Fischler. And those are all the cards I have. Scott, you wanted to speak on public comment for the next meeting?
Oh, it was just a budget item.
Oh, okay, then, no, come forward, welcome.
Should I go?
Yeah, no, Benito, you're perfect. I just wanted to make sure I called, these are all the cards I have for this meeting, so please come forward, in any order, as long, yeah, welcome.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Supervisor Chavez and Supervisor Cortese and everyone else. My name is Benito Delgado Olson. I'm the director of SupplyBank.org, which administers the diaper kit program that exists here in Santa Clara County. SupplyBank.org is much of what you would think of as a regional food bank, but for things that are not food, but still tangible basic needs. So we receive a lot of in-kind goods, but as is the case with the diaper kit program, we also manufacture many things through competitive RFPs in partnership with many local and state agencies. The diaper kit program came to us actually out of having several focus groups with current CalWORKs clients and working with some national and local advocates. Diaper need is 14% of a family's income if they're cash aid only on CalWORKs under current rules. There were more than 1,200 emergency room and urgent care hospital visits in Santa Clara County alone last year that were tied to the top 3 symptoms of diaper need, and 80% of those were emergency room visits, which cost a tremendous amount of money. Santa Clara County also supported this program with a $25,000 allocation previously, and this appropriation seeks to extend it. But I would add that the State First 5 Commission, as well as other philanthropic partners of ours, have matched those funds, and we're working to ensure that they continue to do that so we can expand the program and that perhaps some of these wait lists can be reduced dramatically this year. The last thing I would add is that the diaper kits also have a dual purpose in that they're branded with the state version of the National Talk, Read, Sing campaign, designed to encourage parents to talk, read, and sing to their babies because 90% of brain development happens by age 3. And as we've heard in this hearing, it's working. The kids are talking, and I'm sure soon they'll be reading, and I've heard some singing. So I just didn't want to leave that out, but thank you very much for your support and the time to speak here today.
Thank you, Benito. Yeah. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. Mark Fischler, Development Director of Parents Helping Parents. I want to thank you very much for giving me this moment to speak with you. Just real briefly on our proposal, which thank you very much for your consideration. So there's 2 parts to our proposal. One is to support adults with disabilities throughout Santa Clara County. The second is to open an office in Gilroy to support people with disabilities in South County. On the first issue, supporting adults with disabilities throughout the county, I think because we've been around 43 years, we literally have had families grow up with us, and it's no longer about their child's education. It's supporting them with issues like what's a special needs trust and how do I set one up, and an issue you know very well because you voted recently to provide more funding, and that is to find housing for their children with that as they become adults. So it's important because it's something that currently isn't funded, and we are getting more and more requests to serve families with their children who are now adults with disabilities. And then the second part, opening an office in Gilroy. With San Andreas Regional Center closing their office a couple of years ago in Gilroy, there is no office locally serving families with children with special needs down in South County. And I've talked to SARC about this. Over half of the families they serve require a bus ride up to San Jose. They don't have cars. We serve a lot of families in South County as well. We estimate there's probably 4,000 families down in South County, Morgan Hill, San Martin, and Gilroy. We know we could be doing a lot more for them if we had a local office based on workshops that we've done on a periodic basis in South County. So again, thank you very much for your consideration and your support.
Thank you. Scott, welcome.
Thank you. I didn't fill out a card for that other item. It was the budget item 3D.
I'm going to use this card.
Hey,
Yeah.
sounds great. That's a good one, too. I kind of
Yeah.
butchered it and wrote Kalia's stuff all over it for her birthday. That probably is the neatest playground in the world behind me right now. I think they're having a really, really good time. I've got a new one right here for public comment, so we're working on him. There was a gentleman that came in earlier that was talking about, I believe, the memorial, the building that's in South County, I believe. It was interesting to hear that gentleman talk. I went to the event on Oak Hill over the weekend for Memorial Day. Actually, it was on Monday. And I was very impressed with that. And it was neat to see the turnout and what the county put together out there at Oak Hill. That was where my father's service was at. My dad was in the military, same with my grandfather. Very patriotic family, and I just really like seeing that. A lot of this stuff is kind of falling apart as veterans get older, and you just don't see events like this as much. And I know it was neat to have it out at Oak Hill. I would like to see more events locally here, in a way, like maybe things out in front of the county, maybe things just downtown. It seems more isolated, even though it was a great event out there, don't get me wrong, but I'd love to see 1,000 American flags right out in front of this place and get the community together out here and see something like that so everybody can see what it's like. It seemed kind of isolated with just the veterans out there and the veterans' families, even though it was a great event. So I appreciate the county putting that together, and Steve Preminger is a big part of that. So, and you guys are all there too. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good work up there.
Welcome.
Hola, mi nombre es Salma Rodríguez. Le agradezco a la señora Cindy Chávez por apoyar el programa de pañales. Yo recibo pañales para mis niños de 2 y 4 años que andan corriendo. El programa de pañales me abrió puertas para participar en programas y actividades de aprendizaje temprano y alfabetización en el Centro de Recursos para Familias César Chávez. Los programas me han ayudado a ser más paciente con mis hijos, y al recibir pañales cada mes me ayuda a mi familia con gastos económicos cada mes. También uno de mis niños que recibe los pañales, él tiene necesidades especiales. En nuestra comunidad también veo que hay muchos padres de bajos ingresos que son solteros que les ayuda mucho el programa de pañales económicamente, porque en esta área es muy caro para vivir y los pañales, la verdad, son muy caros.
Hi, my name is Alma Rodriguez. I'd thank Supervisor Cindy Chavez for supporting the diaper program. I received diapers for my 2- and 4-year-old children. The diaper program has opened doors for me to participate in literacy and early learning programs and activities at the Cesar Chavez Family Resource Center. The programs have helped me to be patient with my children, and when receiving diapers every month, it helps my family with financial expenses. Also, one of my children who receives diapers has special needs. In our community, I see that there are many single parents that this diaper program helps economically, because this area is really expensive to live in and diapers cost a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Well done with all that. They're just enjoying a little stage time there. Welcome.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Diana Gomez, and first of all, I would like to thank Ms. Cindy Chavez for supporting the diaper program. I received diapers for my 2-year-old at Somos Mayfair, and the program has given me the opportunity to participate in workshops such as Triple P, and I believe this has made me like a better parent, a better mother, and I feel really safe knowing that each month I will be receiving diapers.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Reinalda Mendoza.
Le agradezco a la señora Cindy Chávez por apoyar el programa de pañales. Yo recibo pañales para mi bisnieto de 1 año a través del programa. Yo participo en los talleres de Triple P y hacia adelante 1 vez a la semana. Y mi bisnieto participa en la escuela de Somos Mayfair mientras yo estoy en el taller. Muchas gracias por su apoyo en dar esta oportunidad para las familias. Muchas gracias.
Hello, my name is Reynaldo Mendoza. I would like to thank Supervisor Cindy Chavez for supporting the diaper program. I received diapers for my 1-year-old great-grandson. The diaper program has also offered workshops, and I participate in the Triple P and Getting Ahead workshops once a week, and my great-grandson participates in Somos Escuelita while I am in the workshop. Thank you for your support to provide this opportunity for families.
Thank you. Those are all the speaker cards I have. Thank you for joining us. Did I have anybody whose card I missed? No? All right. So let me just start by saying how much I appreciate everybody's time and taking the time to be here and all of the testimony we got. And I want to just first start by just asking Supervisor Cortese or anybody on the dais if there are any questions that anyone has for any of the speakers about issues that were raised.
No questions.
I also just wanted to ask, I've read all cards into the record all cards of anybody who's come to speak on items for 3 and item 4. So I want to make sure there was nobody here to speak on items 47, 55, 64, 75, 69, or 66 that didn't get a chance to speak yet. Is there anyone? Did you want to speak to an item that was on the on item 4? If Yes, I'm sorry if I missed your card. Please come forward.
I didn't come with prepared notes. I'm here to answer questions.
Oh, okay.
Since there are none,
yes.
I wanted to make sure that I spoke briefly just about Lincoln Law School and its contributions to the community. I know the grant request has information specific to what we're asking for money for, but just the contributions of Lincoln students, I don't think, has been emphasized. And Lincoln students fill a gap in our community that can't be filled in other ways. Because of our low tuition, they're able to work with families who are low and moderate income families. And I think that they provide for the county an opportunity for people to receive legal services in situations where they may not qualify for legal aid, but certainly can't afford a regularly priced attorney. So a number of our attorneys graduate and open small offices that serve immigration, landlord-tenant, and other needs that can't be filled in other ways. So the idea of creating a pathway that would give people the confidence to become attorneys when they think they can't afford to go to law school and to create thereby more diverse attorneys in a county that is more diverse than not diverse, I think is an opportunity that we ought not to pass up. It is now in front of the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, who wants to help us spearhead this. I don't know that we'll get this opportunity again. So they have asked us to coordinate. We don't have the capacity to coordinate without a grant from this organization. We've also asked for a grant writer to help us expand the funding for this particular pathway, and I hope you'll consider both of those opportunities as ones that we may not see again. Thank you.
Thank you. And if I could ask if you could just fill out a yellow card just for our records and get that to Amy.
Thank you very much. And I didn't introduce myself. I'm Laura Palazzolo. I'm the Dean at Lincoln Law School of San
Great.
Jose.
Thank you for being here. So I'm going to close the public hearing. And then Supervisor Cortese, did you have any thoughts or feedback or comments you wanted to make?
Well, just briefly, I'll say thank you to the speakers who have come here today to testify on behalf of some of these items. I appreciate the testimony. It helps enlighten us a little bit more, I think, on what the motivation is for some of these grant opportunities that's primarily what these are. So I appreciate it. I don't want to start singling out individual items other than to say, as I said earlier, I don't have questions. Part of the reason is because a number of these items were brought forward under my authorship, and the ones that weren't, I had the opportunity to evaluate as they were published prior to us getting here, and a number of those have been offered up by Supervisor Chavez, and these oftentimes are community-based agencies that you're representing or other organizations that we are involved with throughout the year. So we do understand the need, and we appreciate people's patience with this process. These will move from here if we move them forward, and I assume that we will, Supervisor Chavez, unless you have objections to any of them to the board budget hearing process next in June, and I'm sure you'll outline that a little bit further. So I just want people to know that I'm paying attention, and we've done our homework, and we appreciate you coming in here to reinforce your positions on some of these. Thank you.
So great. What if you would like to make a motion to move these forward, and then I will make a second with some comments that I wanted to ask for further, just to further some inquiries as they come to the board.
Sounds good. I'll move forward all the items under agenda item 3.
Great. And then I will make a second to that motion. And then what I would just like to highlight, and also just to apologize, Dave, to you and to my colleagues on the dais. I know a lot of this information came late from my office, and I think all of us kind of get at the end of budget trying to get everything all kind of crammed in, so I apologize for that. Just two recommendations I'd like to add to the to today's set of actions, and one is that just for you that are running nonprofits, one of the challenges that our staff has had in the past with some of the items we've brought forward in the inventory process is we don't actually give enough detail, so when they're writing contracts that the items that we're moving forward have really concrete deliverables where the staff knows what they should be expecting. And so what I would like to recommend is that we move this forward acknowledging that as our staffs engage in negotiations that they will be looking for quantifiable outcomes. And that helps with a couple things. One is I think it helps with our overall process, but the other is that it helps us understand what the effectiveness of these recommendations are so that in the years to come we can move them into the base budget. One example I wanted to give is with Parents Helping Parents. What was really beneficial last year is that Parents Helping Parents got a grant from us last year. And I think you and I brought it forward. I can't remember now. But in any case, what was really beneficial about it was seeing that the amount of money that we invested gave the staff the opportunity to leverage a couple $1 million of resources from the state or federal government that we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do. Now that we understand that as an option, I think that may change the strategy over and even allow the staff to determine it's something that in the future should be in a base budget. Without the contracts, and I'll just say this to all of you, without the contracts being concrete, with the exception of just one-time investments, it really doesn't give the staff enough opportunity to come back to the board and say this is something we think we should keep doing, and they adopt it. Otherwise, it just ends up continuing to be a one-off, and I think that's not advantageous. And we spend a lot of time and energy on these, and we should be thinking about that. Any thoughts or concerns about that? And Bob, I don't know about your thoughts or concerns either. Dave, and then Bob.
I don't have thoughts or concerns, but let me sort of make the question a little more complex. We have one inventory item that I'm not sure if it was spoken to publicly, and I apologize, but People Shores, which is in the process of standing up a particular program that really, if you look at what they did lay out, requires 2 FTE over the course of a year, but it appeared to us that 1 FTE was justified in getting that getting that program stood up for the first 6 months. And it occurs to me, and this is another issue that we've had sometimes, where you really want to get to about mid-year and evaluate which I think is where the contract criteria and milestones comes in that you're talking about as well. You know, at that point, people are starting to understand, is this program paying off? And if so, what were the deliverables and what are the outcomes that we're looking for? But we also kind of have this nuance sometimes where everything doesn't work perfectly well in nice 12-month chunks.
Right.
You know, someone's trying to stand up a program, maybe $200,000 is too much now because it's not applicable today. But that business model would call for that 6 months down the road. So we were actually considering, you know, trying to do some kind of a supplemental between now and the hearing on that particular item to ask the board to consider a relook, a revisitation, you know, 6 months down, right around the time we do mid-year, 6 months from July 1st, to determine if they actually did become, you know, sort of ripe, a program became ripe for that, that next piece, so they wouldn't have to wait 6 months and sort of stagnate the program. I don't know if that's the right process to do that, or if that would be the right procedure for doing that, or if it's just something that, you know, the board and the administration would frown on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, certainly the administration wouldn't frown on it, Supervisor Cortese. I think to the extent that that is a concern that your office has at the outset, I think it would be most beneficial to surface it early so that then it could prompt, you know, a discussion around if there is sort of, you know, a course correction or a supplemental resource needed sort of midway through the project, that would be able to flag it early and we'd be able to figure out the best way to address that.
So it's sort of creating an option in the contract that would need to be, that would only come into play if certain criteria were met, and perhaps even a revisitation by the board. But thank you. Sure. You know, my staff is here, and we'll make sure we're going to pursue that to get something filed to, as you said, surface it right away. And Supervisor Chavez, more directly on your point, I think similarly the question becomes on some of these, and I picked up on that as well. PHP I'm very involved with in an advisory role. I don't have a voting role with their board or anything like that, but I've been involved, and I know you've been involved with them, so we know what they're up to. But the folks that are in the back room here trying to write a contract don't necessarily have that kind of detail, and I guess that is this, you know, sort of reiterating your question, what should we be doing between now and the hearings to make sure when we do the final approval that those benchmarks are very clearly called out, and should we be asking for that now, or should we be asking for supplemental information, you know, from the grantee?
Here's what I wanted to recommend, actually. I wanted to recommend that that as we make this motion that we're permissive in allowing the staff to work with the agencies one-on-one to put in benchmarks, because one of the things, like some of our colleagues are, like there's one in here which is a really good investment, and it's saying we're going to get $250,000 and that money is going to leverage $750,000. Well, that actually should be a core component of the contract. The way we've done these in the past, and I think it's because it comes from board direction, is the staff, I think we put them in a position of, they say, okay, here's $250,000 without the ability to do the follow-up.
Right.
So that's one example. I think another one, and actually People Shores is an interesting one, because that one, what's interesting to me about that one is that in terms of the viability of the program, you know, I think that's right. That's still to sort of be understood. But on that one in particular, my question would be, does it make sense for us to do a grant with them, or does it make sense for us to refer an organization like that to our contracts team to have a conversation about whether or not that's an organization that we should use our business side to make investments because of the kind of work they do. And I think the only way you really dig into that is if they have a more meaningful conversation with the staff. That's actually what prompted it. So I think where we have those benchmarks that we want to include, we can include them, but I also think it's being permissive to say to the staff, help us figure this out so that we can do a better job of showing how our investments work.
And I think, you know, just for whatever it's worth, I know in the People Shores case, since we brought that forward and have done a lot of work with them over the last few months, they're essentially private sector executives who have established the organization in 2017, and it's a well-heeled organization in terms of private capital, so they're up and running. I didn't mean to imply that we're trying to stand up the organization, but they do have a much more detailed business model than what we put forward, you know, in an 8.5 by 11 inventory item. So I know they would welcome the opportunity to
and
do
that
that.
just is one small one.
But
The other-
again, at the same time, I would argue that there's sort of a combination that's needed, which is an initial grant, you know, to sort of seed this piece of the organization that they're trying to demonstrate they have some county support for, but then it really does need to morph into a contract for services after that, so that
Right.
it's just not
Well,
it's just not an
I
ambiguous
think I'm
grant.
talking about, we're touching on slightly different points, but nonetheless, I totally agree with you. I think what you're saying is right. The second thing I just wanted to point out is that in some of these where we are making physical infrastructure investments, I want to make sure that the investments are amortized over a minimum amount of time. So, and I'll just give you an example. So one that I put on here that's going to seem a little odd is item 3U, which is the hydration stations. So the county, along with other organizations under Ken's Healthy Fitness leadership, Ken Yeager, made resources available for hydration stations. And we didn't, I don't think we paid for this one, but as part of a redevelopment of a school campus, they took the hydration stations out, redeveloped this plaza area, made it nicer for the kids, which is great, and never replaced the hydration station. So the kids went out, saw the new plaza, took their water bottles out there, and there was no place for them to get water, which we totally want them doing, right? So I just think that, again, from a minimum standard, when we're doing construction investments, that whatever we think that is, 5, 10, 15 years, that otherwise they have to replace it, because I wouldn't want to pay for something twice. You know, that just doesn't make sense. So that's, to me, kind of a basic, any of the construction. And then there's one in here, that item 72, and this is a contract with Siren to keep them doing some of the work on behalf of immigrant families that a number of other nonprofits are doing. That's got a time limit on it, because we're trying to align it with other contracts and with a request for qualifications or request for proposal. So again, I think there we have some clear objectives, like we can quantify it. So I just want to make sure we're really diving into that. There was one other one, I don't know if Fred's still here, but the CASA investment is another one that's really important to the foster care task force plan that we're doing. And so again, in a way, I think we're chipping away at something that the county's already given direction that we should be working on and expanding. So knitting them, having the departments, again, have the flexibility to knit in the work or not. I just want to make sure the departments get that opportunity. Does that make sense to everyone? Bob, do you have concerns about that at all, or? Okay.
So just to resolve process a little bit more, in a little more tight fashion, if you will, especially for the folks that are sitting out there with grants up in the air at this point. Some of them may not need a lot more articulation here, right? And some perhaps do, and some may need one thing. I know we put one forward for the firehouse, fire museum, that is basically the funding of an electrical contract so that they can knock out this electrical service that is a bottleneck to them doing all the rest of the work they need to do there. There's going to be a contract from somebody at some point that's much more specific than the rounded figure of $100,000, which again, I would assume, again, from a procurement standpoint, people are going to want to see that, you know, an invoice, a contract.
Which I think we do that now.
But I'm only asking you process for those folks. Should those folks anticipate needing to talk to our administration?
No. Here's what I want to do.
Under your guidance?
No. I want to vote on, I want to send all of these to staff. I'm sorry, to the full board.
Yep.
I want to make sure that we're saying whoever's writing the contracts, that we have some minimum standards for outcomes and minimum standards to protect investment, period. And I want to let them do the detail work unless there's something here that we want to lift up the nuance. One of them is the issue that you raised about people shores.
Right.
And the other is the point I'm just raising about the foster care programming, because really what I want is the staff to see the value of these or not, because I think the staff, often the departments feel like these are intrusive and they're coming at them instead of through them and with them. And I think the reason for that is that either we haven't been able to get those, we've been trying to get it throughout the year to get the staff to do some work, and or there are emerging needs that we really want to be core to the work that we're doing. In a number of instances, they're not core to the work that we do, but we think these are gaps in the community and we're trying to fill them. And in the past, the reason I'm making these statements is in the past when we've brought contracts forward, the feedback I've gotten from staff is that part of the reason they're not included in the next year's budget is they can't quantify the impact to the overall work. And I just wanted to create the opportunity so we don't have to reintroduce these over and over.
So from a grantee standpoint, particularly the folks that are here today that testified and so forth, for them, under this motion, no news is good news. If they haven't been reached out to asking for more detail, then they can come up in June if they wish and essentially just make another pitch for their item. If they are contacted, it'll be by anyone. Our offices or administration, it'll be because of what you're saying, to just make sure the benchmarks for procurement or contracting purposes are clear before we get to a final vote.
I don't think this will get done before a final vote.
Okay.
I think this will get done in the contracting process after.
So
all I'm wanting to do is make sure that that the staff knows I'm responding. I heard you. This is what you told me. I think this is what I'm telling you back. And that afterwards, when they're doing the negotiation, that we want them to do this in a way, that has impact.
I understand that. Probably everyone else in the room understood.
No, maybe not. I had coffee super early. It didn't last very long. So no, that's not you.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure the staff knew that they had that. We're expecting them to help us with that.
Great. Thank you.
So if that could be a motion that just says we're looking at outcomes, we'll revisit where necessary. There are minimum standards that protect investments, and that happens once the board adopts these items.
Okay, great. And I don't know, I hope I didn't cut off
Bob,
our
did you have
social
anything to
services
add?
director.
You're good?
Okay.
And you don't have,
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so-
all makes sense. Thank you.
Okay,
So the motion does include that additional direction?
great. And so we're going to take an action that all of these are going to the full board for their consideration, all of them, because we don't choose well. No, I'm just kidding. It's all of them. And we really do want to say thank you for your testimony and all the very, very good work that you all do. Thank you. So that's a motion and a second, and we are moving approval on items 3, and then we will do the same for item 4. So consider FGOC inventory items, Dave?
Yes. All moved.
Okay, and that's I will second that motion, and those are all going to the full board as well, with the framework that we're offering to staff. So items 3 and 4 are done. So we're now moving to items 5. And this is the management audit work plan. And Dave, I'll turn this one over to you. So on this item, I'll just take, while everybody's leaving and those only folks who are super interested in this item need stay. This was, you had asked us to both come up with some opportunities for the staff to do some audits. And what I wanted to do was we wanted to make some recommendations and get feedback. Is Cheryl here? I don't have my glasses on. Oh, there you are. Hey, Cheryl. To take a look at some of the ideas that you and I had for audit. And actually, is Laura Garnett still here? Could you grab her? Because she's probably going to want to say, what? You want to do what? If she's still around. Okay. I think someone went to try to grab her. We didn't mean to lock you in, that safety door. No, it shouldn't be locked. Amy, we just push them open. This is me, Frady Cat. Everybody should be able, okay. Thank you. So on these items, I know that we had a few that we were looking at, and I just thought maybe, Dave, I can tell you the few I'm looking at, and then maybe what you were looking at.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm prepared, although it was my
Wanna kick
suggestion
it
in the
for
first, but
We can wait till the next meeting.
I'm not sure if we can, but we
Cheryl,
can certainly.
Cheryl just made a face. No, we can't.
I think we can.
So funny. I have my glasses off and I saw that face. No, don't do it. Don't kick it. Okay.
Right. I think we would have to be at the Board of Supervisors. So why don't you proceed
Okay.
with where you're
So,
at? And then
Laura, let me just start. Let me just tell you what I was interested in getting feedback on, and I'm curious about your thinking on this. And one of the things I thought we might want to take a look at is the staffing in juvenile hall, and to do an audit for two reasons. One was to just kind of create a floor that we have a third party saying here's what our floor is, and also what the limitations to the. This is from so we're putting forward a couple of management audits, and one thing that occurred to me was that we take a look at staffing both for juvenile hall and the ranch, because I do think we've made so many changes that it's an opportunity to sort of say, here's where we were, here's where we are, this is where we think we could or should be. And one of the reasons I was thinking about this is having a third party do that assessment. I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that. And since I saw you, I thought I would not just say, hey, why don't we audit this?
Hi, Laura Garnett, Chief Probation Officer. So the question is, do I want to be audited? No, no, I'm joking.
And look how friendly she looks. Yeah.
No, I think, sure, absolutely. I think that would be great. I mean, we put forth the memo to the board kind of explaining the cost, but clearly it's an issue across the state. And yeah, I would love to have have a baseline and something to talk from.
Yeah, and one thing, and that's kind of what I was hoping, is it really would be something to talk from. Like,
Right.
Then the other question I had, and Laura, this is one I just wanted to get your thoughts on too. We've been doing so much work, and by the way, I'm not going to say, hey, why don't we do two audits? And I just want to get your thoughts on this. You guys have been doing such amazing work with investments in our strategic engagement of kids, and how trying to keep them out of the system versus in the system. And so and this may speak to the juvenile hall issue, so one of the things I think you have already been doing is really investing a lot of resources in services for young people so that they're not in custody. And again, this may not be an audit, but one of the things that I feel, at least specifically in our discussions with the city of San Jose, is that we are doing a lot of work, have a ton of investments, and I'm not sure the very best way to frame that up. And I didn't know if you've given thought to that, and in particular, because we are spending somewhat less for juveniles in juvenile hall. I mean, actually, when I saw the numbers, I was like, God, why didn't we have that story earlier? But do you think there is value in us looking at and there's not a right or wrong question to this. This really is, and I'm sorry, this is brainstorming, and you look very nervous. She's looking over at John. What I was wondering is, if we took a look at the resources that are in juvenile hall and what we're spending, does that give us the opportunity to also share where those costs have gone? Is there a clear one-to-one? Like, did we stop spending here and move it to here? Or no, if we did an assessment, would we just want to do an assessment of juvenile hall, the way it looks today, and what's within the box of juvenile hall and the ranch?
I believe we should do what it looks like today, because it looks today what I believe this board and what we believe it should look like, which is staffed to PREA standards, really, really high quality medical care and behavioral health care. I mean, we could go backwards. I don't know that there's a lot of reason to. We're
Okay.
very transparent about our staffing patterns. We clearly, there's a lot of union issues with our staff, but we're very transparent about that. I think we should look at where it is today.
Got it, snapshot in time. Okay, thank you. That's why I just didn't want you to say, what was she talking about? And then, thank you, you're free. I won't come up with any new ones. for you. The other one I was interested in is our IHSS staffing, and in particular the administrative staffing of how we're managing and overseeing IHSS as another one. And I don't know if you have thoughts, or Bob, if you have thoughts about that. And really I was trying to rectify all the different feedback we're getting about what the staffing level should be and what type of staffing in particular.
I think it's timely, as we've said a number of times, with the issues of the maintenance of effort getting cleared up. I think it's time that we could assess and collectively go forward with what the right sizing and right staffing of the program is.
Great. And then the last one I wanted to take a look at that I mentioned at the last meeting was looking at the staffing ratio of the Public Defender's Office, in particular relative to other public defender's offices in California, and what should it be? Like, what is it today? What should it be in term, and really, and I don't want to compare us to other states, because I know other states are not properly staffed. And so one thing I don't know is how you would do that, because in some respects there are very few offices I think are really properly staffed, but better understanding again, a snapshot in time, like where we are now, what should we have that we maybe don't have? Thank you. Those are some thoughts I have, Dave. And by the way, I didn't talk to Molly, so Molly, if you're listening, sorry I didn't talk to you, but these were just something we've been thinking about over the last couple days.
Yeah, so I'm fine with your 3 recommendations, and I know the idea was to try to come up with 3 from each of these committee members. We had a list of about 7 for consideration prior to the last meeting. I don't have that list here, and we also internally essentially didn't follow my own recommendation, which was for my office to file a ledge file for this meeting with our recommendations. So I'm wondering if it would be satisfactory if, as chair of FGOC, I was to take these 3 that you're recommending, add them to essentially to a ledge file for a referral ledge file, or a ledge file that would come with a report out for FGOC today. I guess that's probably the appropriate way to do it. And just tag that into the Board of Supervisors meeting with the 3 that we recommend. Ultimately, we're all going to get one more bite at the apple, along with our 3 colleagues at the board level, to either approve those 6 or...
I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Can I give you 2 more, and then because I'm happy with you choosing these, because the Public Defender's Office, like I said, I don't have any idea what it should be staffed at, and even going through, we made a really minor referral that took forever, and I don't know, I feel like I don't have a handle on that, but put a pin in that one, because the other one that is quite challenging is what the nursing staff level is in our in-custody facilities, our medical service staffing, so both nursing and medical staffing, what is it, and what should that be? And we've gotten a lot of feedback and concerns about that one. I would actually prioritize that one above the public defender in particular, because I haven't had a conversation with Molly about it, but I think that one is one that, even as we did all of our jail, as we're doing all of our jail recommendations, I genuinely, again, I have no idea, I don't have any idea how many codes we have that are actually filled, what we're doing to do recruitment, how long codes stay empty, and if the minimum codes that we have, or not minimum, but if the codes we have would allow us to have maximum staffing. John, do you have thoughts about that?
I think the questions that you are asking are good ones. I mean, on the surface, I know that custody is just a more challenging environment to staff than, sort of the regular inpatient or outpatient settings. In terms of the sort of complement of job classifications, I mean, I think these are all sort of good questions to ponder if there might be alternatives that could either, add an increased level of specialization or more adequately address whatever's determined to be the perceived need.
Right, because I don't think we know, and But those are, if that would be comfortable for you, I think I'd actually prioritize custody health and then maybe do something smaller with the public defender after a conversation with her, because we have the ability to do those shorter ones, so maybe we could do that.
And that's kind of a nice segue to my thoughts on particularly on the nursing in custody, that I know one of the items on our list was just a little broader custody audit than just that issue, but certainly inclusive of the nursing issue. I actually think the nursing issue probably would be something that could be looked at. Easier for me to say, right? But on an hourly, board member requested audit, because it's so finite.
Well,
it's just,
I'm actually suggesting that we look at medical nursing as a pull out of that, but medical staffing in custody.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'd be interested in getting. I hear what you're saying too.
I was just suggesting that when we come back with the ledge file I was just talking about, that I'd be happy to include this as part of a broader look.
Oh, got it. Yeah,
as part of me recommending a broader look at custody, and give me a chance to maybe itemize, because custody is overall is too big, and I'm not sure that's necessary, especially while we have ongoing jail reforms going on and everything. But there is a subset of custody, as I think, that may go beyond custody health, but includes custody health that I'd want to look at.
Cheryl Solov, Management Audit Manager. That was my question. I was trying to determine if you're talking about doing an audit of custody health as a whole, but I think you just answered that.
And I'm offering that I'm fine with custody health being at a minimum what we would do, but perhaps taking a little bit broader look, a little broader range into custody than just that. And if it's okay with Supervisor Chavez, I would just spell that out in the ledge file for board consideration.
I'm actually fine deferring that to you to iron out. In fact, even to have a deeper discussion with Cheryl before it comes to the full board, I'm fine with that.
Thank you.
And those are my general thoughts. And if you had strong feelings about it one way or another, I'm totally fine with that. Mm-hmm. If I could, there just one, maybe two others, if you guys would, since you guys are going to talk a little bit more about this, and that is, for some reason, the Department of Tax and Collections, I feel like we looked at that a long time ago, and I couldn't remember where it was on your sheet, but if we haven't done that in a while, that actually might be something we want to take a look at, especially as we're looking at new technological tools for tax collections, making it easier for people. So that's just one thought. And then if there are no questions on that, then the other is we're going to be doing some work on our overall disaster preparedness. We have a referral coming on Tuesday to look at what we do once there's been a disaster and we're in the rebuild phase, because that's not an area we've really dived into. But it occurs to me that we probably haven't looked at our disaster preparedness for a while, unless we have. So anyway, just for you two to discuss, those are some general ideas that we kicked around.
Okay,
great.
Excellent. So we have probation, IHSS, public defender staffing ratio as the first three possibilities. Custody health with specificity around nursing particularly, but not exclusive of other areas. And Department of Tax and Collection as a possibility in disaster preparedness, wherever that shows up. Yeah. Okay. And again, if we could just move the item allowing.
I would move the item with the deferral to the chair of the committee working with the auditor to make formal recommendations to the board with my input.
And for administration purposes, clerk's purposes, we'll attach to a report out of this committee. Just a supplemental memo that indicates what we came up with.
And then go ahead.
And so which board meeting is that for?
That would at this point be the second board meeting in June.
Okay, it's the 18th.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. And then the last item on this agenda was item 6, and that was funding for a collaborative court coordinator. And I think this was to make a one-time investment ongoing. Supervisor Cortese, from you.
Yes, this is actually something that was funded last year. So the court coordinator, as I understand it, exists. I don't know if there was any further response questioning that or, responding to that, not to be redundant from the administration, but we're just trying to take this position and view it as an operational need in the court system, but which goes back and forth in terms of support with our dual diagnosis court, et cetera. It's essentially, as we all know, a part of the court system that's interacted back and forth with SSA and I think probation on a regular basis. So I'd like to just move this recommendation to fund the position. Again, we use a referral instead of an inventory item, viewing that this was an ongoing operational need as opposed to a grant. Thank you.
And those are all the items on both agendas. And Scott, I took you under, I took you in as part of the budget. Do you want to speak again? Okay. Thank you. Then we would be we're adjourned to the next meeting on Wednesday, June 19th at 2 p.m. Thank you, everyone.